Hi, thank you for joining us on this episode of Sports Bets for Free. My name is Scott Jenkins, your host, just a local sports bettor here in Phoenix, Arizona. And hopefully today with our picks and your picks, it's going to be another profitable day for you. Happy Valentines Day to everybody out there, to you and your loved ones. But we've got a huge basketball slate to get into, so let's get rocking and rolling. First game up for us, we'll start with college basketball. Miami at Clemson. Clemson 7.5 point favorite, 150.5 total. Miami sometimes has trouble putting the ball in the hoop, as if you saw them play Virginia, they didn't even score 50 points. Clemson does not struggle in this area at all. They can score. Problem's been defensively for them. But with the total around 150, I think in order for that number to come in, Clemson's going to have to get 80-plus points of this. And if they score 80-plus in this game, I think they've got they cruise to a victory over Miami. So we are going to take Clemson -4 first half, -7.5 for the game. One more time, Clemson -4 first half, -7.5 for the game. And then probably the most unusual line we have seen so far, I guess in sports, college basketball for sure. Detroit Mercy, currently 0-26. At home, 5.5 point favorite against IUPUI, who is 6-20 admittedly, but 5.5 or past the key number of 5 even. How can this be? How can we do this? IUPUI plus 5.5 seems like rat to the cheese in the rat trap. But we're going to head right into this. The only issue in this game, I think, for not covering on the IUPUI side is sometimes they do struggle to score. Detroit Mercy has an offense. They can't figure out how to finish a game and win a game, but they do have an offense. Their defense, though, should allow IUPUI to definitely score some points in this one. So we're rolling IUPUI. We didn't play money line as of yet, but I think we're probably going to have to go back to that and play the money line, as it's near plus 200 on that one. So check that out. Google Sheets, I'll mention this now. So at the end of every show that we do, in the comments section, there's going to be a link to the Google Sheet. It says docs.google.spreadsheet. This will give you a link to the ledger of all of our bets, what juice we got those at, how many units, and then what book we placed them at, and then obviously the result once we're finished. Especially the NBA today, there are a lot of back-to-back games, so there's not a ton of player props as we get into the later matchups, like in the Nuggets game, the Jazz game, the Pistons game. Those really didn't have any player props available, so keep that in mind. So a list of all of our updated bets will be there, so make sure you do check those out when you get some time. So IUPUI will be on there. Like I said, we might go back to the money line as well. Next game up for us is going to be South Carolina, Auburn. Auburn at home, ranked 12th in the country. South Carolina, though, ranked 15th, but Auburn's favored at laying 11.5, 137.5 total. Now, South Carolina has played tremendous over this last, let's say, month. Auburn's had a couple hiccups here and there, but Auburn's a great team, no question about it. Bruce Pearl has his guys ready to rock and roll. South Carolina, though, I think is one of these teams that can even make a little bit of noise maybe in the tournament, maybe make it to a Sweet 16. So I don't know how you're not taking the 11.5 here. I'm probably a rat to the cheese again one more time, but we're going to take South Carolina and all those points. So South Carolina plus 6.5 first half, plus 11.5 for the game. One more time, South Carolina plus 6.5 first half, plus 11.5 for the game. Next game up for us is another ranked team, the number one ranked team in the country, UConn, going against one of the worst teams in the country in DePaul. UConn, 24.5 point favorite, 141.5 total. I will say this in this game, DePaul gets blown out on a regular basis at home, on the road, doesn't seem to matter. UConn, they tend to destroy bad teams. This is one of those teams. They should destroy them. I honestly could see this game 90-50, which would put it pretty close to the total, but I mean, UConn, I think, is just going to overwhelm them early and often. So we'll take UConn minus 14.5 in the first half, minus 24.5 in the game. One more time, UConn minus 24.5 first half, and minus 14.5 first half, minus 24.5 for the game. Last game of the day that we're going to be on, Utah State going to Wyoming. This line has shifted around 0.5 point, so look for the 8 in this one. Utah State currently minus 7.5. Going to Wyoming. Wyoming in this role here, like New Mexico, they got blown out, but New Mexico was on a heater. Now New Mexico's kind of slacked off a little bit. Wyoming's played decent. and they can fire it up. So we're going to take the points at home. Home teams have done really well against ranked teams, period. So we'll take Wyoming here. We'll take the points. Look for the 8, though, if you're playing with us on this one. So Wyoming +4 first half, +8 for the game. One more time, Wyoming +4 first half, +8 for the game. We'll get into the NBA slate. A lot of games going on in the NBA. Like I said, a lot of guys, there's guys sitting everywhere, so make sure you're paying attention to that. There's also, other things, there's a lot of stuff going on, tonight, and a lot of back-to-backs. So make sure you're aware of all those before you hop in with your hard-earned money on this one. But first game up, Hawks, Hornets in Charlotte. Charlotte getting 6.5 at home, 238.5 total. I'll be really honest with you. The Hawks, to me, they've been the worst cover team in the league all season long. But they had a run here of a couple weeks where they were covering, and then all of a sudden lay an egg in the last one. And now Okinawa's going to be out as well as Capella. So they really don't have an inside presence really much. So I think it's going to be a lot of threes. I personally, we're staying away from the game on the side and the total, but we like player props in this particular matchup. So we're going to roll with Brandon Miller on the Hornets over 19.5 points and over 2.5 threes. Trae Young over 24.5 points, over 4+ threes, and over 38.5 par. And then Miles Bridges touches the ball every damn time for the Hornets, it seems like. So we'll take Miles Bridges over 25.5 points, over 2.5 threes, and over 38.5 par in that matchup. Next game up, 76ers, Heat. Line was 4, now down to 3 for the Heat here. 225 total. The Heat coming off a back-to-back with the win last night against the Bucks where they absolutely trounced them on the road. I had a feeling there's probably going to be quite a bit of Heat money coming in on this one after they just saw them destroy the Bucks. And the 76ers have not been outstanding since Embiid went out. I thought Maxey was going to take over the team. He really hasn't. He's still playing like his normal role. Buddy Hield, though, has been a nice addition. He is getting his 10 attempts at 3 a game. He's driving to the hoop. He's been scoring some points as well. So we do like some player props in this matchup, but we're staying away from the side and the total. Buddy Hield over 17.5 points, over 3.5 threes, which was plus money. And he's averaging right around 4 threes, so to get plus money on an average. And then also 5+ threes as well. We'll sprinkle a little bit of money on that. But Bam Adebayo over 11.5 rebounds, as there's not going to be any height on the Hawks side, so should be some pretty easy rebounding opportunities. And Adebayo over 1.5 blocks, and then we'll also take Maxey over 1.5 turnovers. So one more time in this Heat 76ers matchup, Buddy Hield over 17.5 points, over 3.5 threes. Also sprinkle a little bit on 5+ threes. Bam Adebayo over 11.5 blocks. I keep saying blocks when I mean rebounds on this, so sorry about that. Over 11.5 rebounds and over 1.5 blocks. Maxey over 1.5 turnovers. Next game up, Knicks at the Magic. This line's still 3.5. Magic at home, coming off a back-to-back with the loss last night to the Thunder. It was a big game for them. I think retiring Shaq's number, first time on TNT in a minute. And it's not that they played absolutely horrible. The Thunder are just better. That's the easiest way I can put that. I mean, the Thunder, I think, are going to finish 10 to 12 wins better than where the Magic are. And just the way it is, the Thunder have more depth, and that's where it really, I think, hurts them on that second unit where they really kind of took control. They lost the first quarter. I mean, it's 31-30 at the end of the first, and then they had a 10-point plus lead at halftime and then kind of cruised in the second half. That's what the Thunder do. They're deep, they're young, they're talented. They have guys that can play. They're two-way players. They play offense and defense. They got a great shot blocker in Chet Holmgren who can protect the rim. They present a hard out. So nothing bad about getting beat by the Thunder yesterday. I just don't know about them laying 3.5 on the second half of back-to-back against the Knicks. Now, the Knicks are absolutely in injury disarray. DiVincenzo hits the injury report now. He's game-time decision. So is Jalen Brunson going to have to score 50 for this to hit? No OG Anunoby, no Julius Randle. Hartenstein's been in and out of the lineup, been hurt. Josh Hart's not a scorer. I mean, what do they come up with in order to get this game close? We are going to stay away from the side and the total, and the total's only at 211.5, so not expecting a lot of scoring, obviously, in this game. But we do like some player props. We like Jalen Brunson over 28.5 points because I think that's about the only way the Knicks can score, especially if DiVincenzo does not play. Banchero, we do like quite a bit. I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities in this game. There's not Doesn't really have many rim protectors, so should be able to go to the rim as much as he wants to. So Banchero over 21.5 points. We'll also sprinkle some on 25-plus points and 30-plus points. Brunson, 2+ threes and 3+ threes, and also over 2.5 turnovers. We'll also go to Banchero over 2.5 turnovers, as he does turn the ball over a lot. He's just big guys that like to dribble are prone for turnovers in the NBA. There's just no other way around it. So one more time in that game, Banchero over 21.5 points. We'll also sprinkle a little bit on 25-plus points, 30-plus points. We'll also take over 2.5 turnovers. Then Jalen Brunson over 28.5 points, 2+ threes and 3+ threes, and then over 2.5 turnovers for Brunson as well, as he's probably going to have to handle the ball 80% of the game today. The Knicks, I mean, everybody's excited about them. I understand, especially a lot of East Coast, when you listen to a lot of sports radio shows that are national. I understand the excitement about the Knicks, but Thibodeau is going to drive these dudes in the ground with the minutes they're going to have to play because of the injuries. So just keep that in mind as we're kind of working through the season. Next game up, Bulls at the Cavs. Currently 8.5, 9, depending on where you're getting it at. Cavs had a 9-game winning streak snapped. Here's the rule of thumb normally that we play by. When you come off a long winning streak and you lose, you normally lose the second game as well. And when I'm getting 9 with the Bulls, and I know if you've watched our show, the Bulls are kind of our kryptonite, so to speak, but I can't turn down the points here, especially when the Cavs just lost. And they put a lot of effort into not losing that game. We did take the Bulls at 8.5, so you're getting even better here at 9. But Bulls plus 3.5 first quarter, plus 5.5 first half, plus 8.5 for the game. DeRozan over 22.5 points. We still like Jarrett Allen to get his rebounds, over 11.5 rebounds. He's been consistently at that 12 mark. And then Donovan Mitchell over 2.5 turnovers. That number's low. He's normally at 3.5. It is juicy at minus 150, but well worth the bet. So one more time in this Bulls-Cavs game. Bulls plus 3.5 first quarter, plus 5.5 first half, plus 8.5 for the game. DeRozan over 22.5 points. Jarrett Allen over 11.5 rebounds. Donovan Mitchell over 2.5 turnovers. Next game up, Pacers, Raptors. Pacers, how do we put this? Lose to the Hornets. So that was kind of more than disappointing, to say the least. Kind of shocked that they lost that one there. But it kind of is what it is. Occasionally you're going to have a brain fart, no question. Now they're going to Toronto. This was a perfect fucking road trip. If the Hornets and the Raptors, you would think you could squeeze 2 on the road here. Now you've got to get this one. They're 3.5-point favorites, 245 total. We expect a lot of offense in this game. But we do like the Pacers here. This isn't our best bet by any stretch, but the Pacers, I think, should win this game by double digits. But we'll see what, we like the Pacers, though, to make some money here. So Pacers minus 0.5 first quarter, minus 1.5 first half, minus 3.5 for the game. We do like Aaron Nesmith. If you haven't watched him before, he's really come on here as of late. So over 14.5 points. We'll also take him over 2.5 threes, which was plus 145 on FanDuel. Over 21.5 par. He smashed that number last night. Same thing kind of adds up here. Like I kind of went in the show yesterday. Nesmith's point total was 14.5, and assists and rebounds were at 4.5 apiece. So even if we throw out the halves, it's at 22, and he was at 21.5, and he was at 20.5 yesterday on the par bet. He's up to 21.5. It still makes sense. Obviously, you're going to need to score the 15 points plus to get home, but I still think at 21.5 par, it's a bargain on that one. We also like Scotty Barnes under 37.5 par. If he doesn't score 25, he does not get home there. And then Halliburton over 11.5 assists. His 12 seems to be his magical number. He hits 12 pretty consistently. He's had some nights where he wasn't there, but not fully healthy still, I think. I think the best thing for Halliburton to do, I know he's not going to do it, but sit out the All-Star game would probably be, and just rest that hamstring for 3-4 days with All-Star weekend coming up. But don't see that happening. But Halliburton, because he's going to be a starter, so it's kind of hard to turn that down, especially when they're playing in your home stadium in Indy. So one more time in that Pacers Raptors game. Pacers minus 0.5 first quarter, minus 1.5 first half, minus 3.5 for the game. Nesmith over 14.5 points, over 2.5 threes, over 21.5 par. Scotty Barnes under 37.5 par, and Halliburton over 11.5 assists. Next game up, Nets Celtics. They just played last night. They did play in Brooklyn. Line was 8.5 in Brooklyn. Celtics ended up winning by 8. This is a back-to-back game against the same team. It is extremely difficult in the NBA, and it has not happened much this season, where teams win both. So if that's the case, and the line's going to go at 5 points, and I'm going to get 13.5 points with Brooklyn. Now, that's why we waited on this line. We didn't play it last night when it opened at 12.5. We waited because if the Nets won the first game, we were going to just absolutely pound the Celtics in this one. But since the Celtics win the first game, we're going to take Brooklyn. We'll probably even throw in a money line bet as it's pushing plus 600 now as an upset. But we love the Nets. Nets plus 4.5 first quarter, plus 3.5 third quarter, plus 8.5 first half, plus 13.5 for the game. Mikal Bridges over 21.5 points. We're going to go back to Drew Holiday again over 13.5 points as he keeps cashing. Mikal Bridges over 2.5 threes. Drew Holiday over 1.5 threes, and also 3+ threes. Like, those have just they've been cashing tickets like consistently. If I can hit something 70-80%, I'm going to go to that well every day and 3 times on Sunday. Are they going to hit every day? No, but we're consistently going to make money. Mikal Bridges, we're also going to sprinkle on 4+ threes and 5+ threes. Bridges over 29.5 par. So one more time, Nets Celtics. Nets plus 4.5 first quarter, plus 3.5 third quarter, plus 8.5 first half. Bridges over 21.5 points, over 2.5 threes. We're also sprinkle on 4+ threes and 5+ threes, and over 29.5 par. Drew Holiday from the Celtics over 13.5 points, over 1.5 threes, 3+ threes on that matchup there. Next game up. We go to, we're going to skip Wizards Pelicans. There was no player props. We're necessarily not a huge fan of the line, but make sure you do check out the Google Sheets at the end of the show to go over those. Next game up, Rockets Grizzlies after that. Rockets currently 2.5 3-point favorite, depending on where you're at, over the Grizzlies. And I will tell you this, the Grizzlies tend to muck things up, but when these low lines, I mean, if the Rockets are going to win, they're going to win by more than 3. The Rockets have not been stellar on the road. If this game was at home, the Rockets are favored by, 8. So kind of a, big difference in line there. But we'll stay away from the side and the total. And we're just going to play a couple Sengun props over 20.5 points as that point total has come down. It's been 22, 23.5 pretty consistently all season, but now down to 20.5. Over 9.5 rebounds. We'll also play him over 36 par. So Sengun over 20.5 points, over 9.5 rebounds, over 36.5 par, and that Rockies Grizzlies. I mean, to be really honest, they should be giving those tickets away for to all the kids that want to go to a game for like $1. Rockets Grizzlies, really? Nobody wants to watch that. Anyway, Spurs Mavs. Spurs on the road. Mavericks laying 11, 242 total. So the Luka Doncic, Victor Wembanyama show. We should see a lot of scoring in this game, or a lot of threes attempted at least, right? So we don't like the side or the total there. The Spurs, 11 might not be enough, or they might win the game outright, kind of way they've played all season long. Wembanyama comes off that monster triple-double with 10 blocks as well in that game. So a lot of things to like about what Wemby's doing. He went from like minus 300 to minus 800 in Rookie of the Year contest after that one. Chet Holmgren comes back with a nice 5-block game. You're being like, okay, you put up 10 blocks, well, I put up 5 blocks. But needless to say, the difference in team there, Chet's on a team that's going to the playoffs, and Wembanyama's in a team that's fighting for the number 1 pick. So we're going to take Wemby over 22.5 points. We'll also sprinkle a little bit on 25+ points. Wemby 2+ threes. Wemby 3+ threes, which is down now to plus 250 on FanDuel, but still worth a play there as he will shoot his threes. If he can we got a great shot there if he attempts 6 threes. Wemby over 36.5 par, over 2.5 blocks. We're also going to sprinkle a little bit on 4+ blocks and 5+ blocks. I will say this in this game, 4+ and 5+ are going to be a little bit more difficult against Dallas. Dallas tends to shoot a lot of 3-pointers, which does not lead to a lot of block opportunities. But he will get his chances, but maybe not as heavy as he does in some other games. Like the Raptors, stuff like that, teams that are Pistons, teams that take it to the hole all the time. So I like the blocks. I just wouldn't play them necessarily as high as we played them in the past. So one more time, Wemby over 22.5 points, also a little bit 25+ points. Wemby 2+ threes, 3+ threes. Wemby over 35.5 par, over 2.5 blocks, 4+ blocks, and 5+ blocks. Next game up on the schedule is going to be Pistons at the Suns. So Pistons lay an egg last night. That's 8 in a row as a double-digit dog goes away as the Lakers come out and Lakers played well, and Anthony Davis was swatting away everything like flies. That was a big hit for us last night, as he had a bunch of blocks in that particular matchup. So Ivy loves to take it to the hole. Cade Cunningham, those guys like to go to the rim. And here's the one thing with the Suns. They do not have the rim protection that the Lakers do. They don't have Anthony Davis protecting the rim back there. So we think the Pistons get back to their cover in double-digit ways. And the Suns come off a back-to-back as well, where they played the Kings last night in a game that they were down basically until the end of the third quarter and had to put a lot of energy in to make sure that they won that game against the Kings. I think the Suns are more than likely going to win, but they tend to sleepwalk a lot of these games, especially at home, and we kind of expect the same tonight. So we'll take the Pistons. We did take them plus 4.5 first quarter, plus 7.5 first half, plus 13 for the game. There were no player props available. We will add those. We definitely like some players in tonight's game, Jaden Ivey being one of them. So we will be playing some player props in this, but currently just the Pistons plus 4.5 first quarter, plus 7.5 first half, plus 13 for the game. Next game up, Kings Nuggets. This line has already moved. It's all the way up to 6. Sabonis comes off another triple-double last night, but he owns the Suns. Necessarily doesn't own Jokic. That's the one thing in this particular game. Jamal Murray, I think he's out. Michael Porter might be game time. But they're rested, not coming off the back-to-back like the Kings, and the Kings having to travel as well. So we like the Nuggets here. We did get it at 5, but it's starting to creep up. So if you're wanting the Nuggets, definitely recommend getting them now versus later. Nuggets -2 first quarter, -3 first half, -5 for the game. There were no player props available. We will be adding those, so do make sure you check out the Google Sheets like I've mentioned probably 8 or 10 times in the show. Next game up, Lakers Jazz. LeBron already going to be out. 5.5-point favorite for the Jazz at home. 240.5 total. Don't know if AD is going to play. This might be a perfect opportunity for him to sit as well. And if he does, this line goes to 8, probably without blinking. So if you like the Jazz here, this is probably time to play them. The Jazz at home have been pretty good. They've been struggled maybe a couple games as of late, but they've been pretty good at home. The road has been a disaster. So we do like the Jazz here, -2 first quarter, -3 first half, -5.5 for the game. There are no player props available, so one more time, we will be adding these at the end of the show in our Google Sheet. So make sure you do check those out. So Jazz -2 first quarter, -3 first half, -5.5 for the game. Next game up, Clippers at the Warriors. Warriors laying 3. They've been hot as of lately. 237 total. Steph Curry's really kind of come on here the last couple weeks. The Clippers, no Kawhi. Big reason for this number. And when you're looking at player props, you'll notice Paul George and James Harden's numbers shot way up. We like the Warriors in this spot. I think a lot of these teams are like, this is the last game before the All-Star break. You know, the Warriors, this is not their last game. They have to play tomorrow on a back-to-back as well as a makeup game for when that poor coach passed away. But I just think the Warriors are on a streak here, and they have 2 more games to finish out the first half. So Warriors, we are going to take them to -3. We'll also take -0.5 first quarter, -1.5 first half. Paul George under 25.5 points. He's been at 19.5, folks, for a couple weeks. He's struggled to put the ball in the hoop, especially from 3-point range. So we'll take Paul George under 25.5. James Harden under 20.5 points. He's been at 16.5, 17 for quite some time, so another big jump. Steph Curry, though, we love him tonight, over 28.5 points. We think he just drains a lot of threes. And his 3 number is 5.5, which is a huge number. The biggest one I've seen all season, except probably for the All-Star game. But so Steph Curry, 35-plus points, sprinkled a little bit there. Draymond Green, over 6.5 rebounds. We love it when he's at 6.5. It's an easy over bet for us on that one. We're also going to take Draymond 8-plus rebounds. The Clippers have really one dude that rebounds, Zubats, and that's really about where it ends. And then Draymond Green over 22.5 par. And then we're going to old reliable again, James Harden over 2.5 turnovers. This line might move to 3.5 quickly. It was heavily juiced on the 2.5 I think he's going to have to play more minutes tonight, and I think he's good for an easy 3 to 5 turnovers on that one. So one more time, Warriors, Clippers. Warriors -0.5 first quarter, -1.5 first half, -3 for the game. Paul George under 25.5 points. Harden under 20.5 points. Steph Curry over 28.5 points. Also sprinkle a little bit on 35-plus points. Draymond Green over 6.5 rebounds, also 8+ rebounds, also over 22.5 par. And then we'll also go back to old reliable James Harden over 2.5 turnovers. So I know I've mentioned this multiple times throughout the show. Make sure you do check out our Google Sheets. It is in the comments section of this episode. It'll say docs.google.spreadsheet, bunch of other stuff beside it. Click into that link. You will get into our Google Sheets. It'll show you football from 22, football from 23-24 that just ended, baseball from last season, basketball that we're currently going through today. Also, we've got some futures for baseball that we've already placed. So make sure you do check all those out. It's our ledger of our bets. We've had a monster basketball season, over 5,000 units up. We're here to make money, folks. I'm not here to talk about my record. I'm not here to say we've had 10 winning days in a row. I'm not here. We're here to make money. This is all about dollars. I love sports. I watch a ton. I break down a ton. But the most thing, I like my money more than I like sports, right? So this is all about making dollars. We could go 1 in 100, but if we end up making money that day, that's what we're here for. So we want to put money in the bank, build the bankroll, and we don't do 4-leg parlays with, where it's half the points and half the point total. We are straight wagers. That's where the money's made. These guys, sharp bettors that everybody talks about online or on TV, they're not betting, 8-leg parlays. Those are nice when they hit, but you're going to have a lot of losers to get maybe one winner if you get one at all. So, like I said, not a lot of parlays, straight wagers. Just try to point out where there's value. That's what we did today, and we'll continue to do all season long. So make sure you check out those Google Sheets. It's the ledger of all of our bets. It's what everybody wants to look at. Don't have to maybe watch a 30-minute video. You can, just look at it at your leisurely pace on there. Also, make sure you subscribe and hit notifications to the YouTube channel. So when we drop our bets, you get those first. It makes life so much simpler once you hit that subscribe button. And then turn notifications on for your, turn notifications on to your phone or device. You'll get a notification, let you know Sports Bets for Free has dropped some new bets. Give you plenty of time to match them up with your bets. Give you that ton of confidence you need heading to the betting app or betting window. I do appreciate everybody's support as always, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.